you might ask yourself, why did they choose a weekend in late October to push all of these people out and about? What was it about the states of Virginia, in New Jersey,
really good question,
that all of these left-wing organizations wanted to do?
The same people who are sitting there doing this, shooting a fake finger gun into their neck at people from Charlie, who are riding in a Charlie Kirk car, are the people who are controlling the agenda that Chuck Schumer is setting. That is a fact.
The left has essentially lost touch with Americans. MSNBC, CNN, they've got an audience of 5,000 people that they talk to all day long. And those people are completely siloed away from what the real world is like.
Our nation is standing up for American workers, restoring the pride of making products here at home. That's what we do every day. We're America's beverage companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns, delivering brands that have been enjoyed for generations, creating good-paying jobs, the kind that require only a strong work ethic. Because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Tuesday to you. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook, left to right across your radio dial. As always, we couldn't help but notice that there was a bit of a lib rally over the weekend, and I know you've seen a lot about it. So we're not breaking news that this existed, because the media can't get enough of it. Of course, this is something that they'd like to depict as a major uprising that is, people on their feet speaking truth to power. It's not that. And we're going to get into some yucks right off the top, so you got nothing to wait for. But then we're going to explain what you don't know, the truth about the No Kings in this very episode. Fellas, this is going to be a good one.
It's going to be fun. Protesting in the age of Donald Trump is like lib boomer Viagra. They can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's their sole motivation in life is pretending to be oppressed.
I totally agree with that. It also helped from my standpoint. First of all, unusually nice weather across the country.
Delightful.
It just an incredible fall, October, Saturday and Sunday in many places throughout this country. And for those of us who are normal, like you kind of do one of two things. You either have stuff going on with the kids, or you got your folks, you're outside, you're enjoying this nice, unseasonably perfect weather this short amount of time, or you're watching football. Right? And it was such a hilarious juxtaposition, particularly on Saturday, as you're watching these killer Saturday college football games, up and down all day long, and outside and grilling meats and all those kind of things. And then you have a full depiction, a pictorial, if you will, of every loser in the country, all scattered throughout, who are like, no, I'm going to use this Saturday to just whine about politics.
Right.
You know?
That's exactly. It was a perfect Saturday. I mean, all across the weather was great, and every single normal person was at a baseball game, a football game, a volleyball, basketball practice, anything other
or
than
hanging
standing.
out with their friends and
Right.
having a cookout, a grill of some kind.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I was driving to go watch football with my son, and I saw these two lib boomers, must have been in their 70s, carrying signs that had giant dildos on them.
Oh,
that
are you
said-
kidding me?
No, that
Sick.
feels. This is what we're
No,
talking about.
they're just weird sicko people.
Yeah.
And the sign said, like, he's not a dictator, he's just a dick.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is your Saturday?
Yeah, congratulations.
That's so
folks.
weird. Congratulations on being furloughed, I guess, from the federal government.
Maladjusted.
It's just maladjusted. Totally weirdo people.
Really weird folks. But it extends. You get the picture as to how it is that these people have gotten to where they are when you look at some of the people who are leading them in that direction. One of our favorites in terms of just beclowning themselves when it comes to stuff like this, because Cory Booker is an individual who, as mayor of Trenton and then ultimately as a senator, I think reasonable people saw that he was like a normal, relatively normal individual at one point. So he understands the difference between clinical and insanity that the Democratic Party has now begun to represent, and what ordinarily people just want out of their government. And yet this dude, every single time, whether it's a Kavanaugh hearing with the Spartacus thing, every single just sort of milquetoast representation of liberal angst, he has to get to the front of the parade.
Yeah, he did like that fake filibuster thing earlier in the year.
Over what? I don't even remember what it was about.
It's just performative narcissism.
Yeah, he did like a 24-hour filibuster about something.
Yeah.
And nobody even remembers, but it was like, oh, I gotta...
Setting records.
It's like a really bad, like a C-level actor.
Theater kid.
It's a theater kid.
It is a theater kid, but he's trying to represent that he is sort of on the cutting edge, he's right with these clinically diagnosable, insane human beings. So anyway, clip one, let's start with that.
This is what democracy looks
Oh my
like.
God.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Do a smattering of applause.
That's the thing is, so if you are at a protest with a U.S. senator right there trying to lead the chant and no one's even into it, are you really fighting the power? Like, are you like a freedom fighter when you've got a U.S. senator there with, like, what is exactly happening here? Are you thinking that, like, I'm a leader of the resistance, this is an uprising of the people, here's a U.S. senator filming us for his TikTok?
Yeah, I know.
At what point do you realize that this is all just like, you
Kayfabe.
guys got to go home. Go
Yes.
see your family. Dude. They might not miss you, but you should probably spend time with them.
It's so true. It's like you look over and it's the United States Senator multiple terms. He's been a politician like his entire life. And he's like, this is what democracy looks like.
Like, that is...
And then he like looks over at the crowd. They're like, this is what democracy looks like. And then he, and it's just...
You're not crossing the Delaware.
It's
You're not fighting for democracy. You've just watched way too much NBC, and you've put yourself in a silo where, like, everyone in your life who tried to care about you and would tell you that, like, I don't know, man, maybe you should, like, calm down. You're not non-binary. You just need a hobby. But you stop listening to those people, and you've cut yourself off from them, and now you're with Cory Booker. Yeah. You're in the bad place.
You're all of a sudden you're standing next to Cory Booker. Yeah, that's a good. If you find yourself on a beautiful October day, standing next to Cory Booker, something's gone very wrong.
Yeah,
Something's gone very wrong. There's one possible worse place to be. George Conway. You know, a week in, week out contender on King of the Hill. This guy has been just 10 of 10 stuff. But he's one of those boomers who don't actually understand their whole place in the world. Like, at some point, he became, I guess, like lib famous, which is different than famous, and it's different than political famous. Lib famous exists in one cylinder, where it's just like a handful of psychopaths that like know who he is. But he, because that's his only cylinder that he resides in, thinks he's a famous human being. So, of course, what an opportunity here at No Kings. Out here in Graphic One, he shows up wearing a I Am Antifa t-shirt with a lovely little neck.
Neckerchief?
What do we? Is that a neckerchief? Is that what we call it? Like a fluorescent, maybe a chartreuse?
No, it's a fluorescent, like a highlighter yellow.
Yeah, a chartreuse.
Yeah, chartreuse
Wait,
is the color.
I thought chartreuse is like a red.
No.
Chartreuse is a yellow?
Yeah, I know. I know that from my jig heads back in my Minnesota.
Okay.
Chartreuse is that's what that
it's
is.
the McLean folks. They call it chartreuse, but me and you, Duncan, we call it highlighter yellow. That's what that is.
McLean.
Well, there he is, clean shaven and on the market.
Yeah, so he's ready. He shows up at this soccer.
I just love it because I've been told reliably for like the last 5 years, Antifa's an idea.
Exactly.
It's not a thing. It's not
Well, on his very network, it doesn't exist. It's something that's made up by Donald Trump.
He just shows up at this thing with the neckerchief and the I am Antifa shirt like he's some sort of lib Che Guevara. You know, it's so funny. And the idea this guy was a Republican a decade ago is just hilarious.
Well, he applied for a job in the first Trump administration,
know.
was denied, and that's why he is Antifa.
That he spiraled. Like that's the thing is when you know his like villainous origin story of where his like wife tried to get him a job, he didn't get it, and he just spiraled off of it. Now he's claiming to be Antifa. This guy was a corporate attorney for WLRK. That's like the most respected mergers and acquisition law firm, and now this dude's out here saying he's Antifa.
He's the revolutionary vanguard.
What are you doing, dude?
This is what has become of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
This is what they're listening to. This guy couldn't get a job as a line lawyer at the Department of Justice when his wife ran the campaign of the sitting president of the United States. And like that was pretty embarrassing. So he found out at some level that if he went on CNN and shit talked the whole situation, that there was a constituency for that. And now he showed, can we put it up one more time? Just look at him.
Look at that.
Just look at him. And the best part is if you look at his face, and he thinks he's saying something profound.
Right.
Right? He's about to impart some wisdom on these people.
Right.
So that apparently didn't take. And so he needs to turn it up a notch like Cory Booker, right? Because he's leading these people.
I can't wait for
Right?
the
These
the
are his
notch.
people now. So let's go to clip 3, if you don't mind.
Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, okay, that's it.
No.
Dude, the dog even wanted to leave him. Did you see that? The dog was embarrassed. He was like,
Wait, hold on, I gotta
dude, when
see the
you're
dog."
so embarrassing, your dog leaves you.
Wait,
Run
hold
that
on.
back, dude. Watch
Right,
the dog.
you gotta watch it again.
What's
you gotta
he
watch
even
it.
Donald
saying?
J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, Donald J., how many kids
Look, the
did you
dog
start
looks
today?
around. He's like, oh,
hey,
man.
okay.
I gotta go, bro.
I gotta get out of here. He's on a leash. He's like, shit.
Tough scene.
I can't believe I hitched my wagon to this bastard.
That scarf definitely is chartreuse.
It is a chartreuse scarf. But
Yeah,
again,
you throw that on a sunny
he's
day.
starting. I don't even know what he was saying.
I don't know.
Hey,
He said,
I
"Hey Trump,
couldn't-
how many kids are you gonna slaughter today?" The guy just
Slaughter?
made yeah, which is like you don't have any basis for what you're talking about when Trump just got back from announcing a peace deal. Like he's saving lives around the world, and this guy's like, "Hey, how many did you slaughter today?" And the dog's like, "I know he's embarrassing. Actually, I'm getting out of this."
Hey, also, this is why people need to play organized sports, you know, because if you're going to make a chant, it's got to make sense. It's got to be pithy. It's got to be short. It's got to be easy for people to understand.
you certainly can't have that last section have multiple syllables.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't. Has to be more catchy than that.
Yeah.
That just, I mean, but it's The first time I saw that, I swear to God, I had to click off of it. I was like embarrassed for him and everyone around him. One more time. Look at the people around him that like don't know what he's saying.
Donald J., how many
Just
kids did you start
see if you
today?
can catch a face.
Hey, Donald J., how
There was
many
an
kids did you
organizer
start
that
today?
just went out there.
Okay.
Every single person there is there to get revved up about Trump.
But are they though? Because what I saw in there was just people holding up cameras or other people with bullhorns. It seems like it was all other like leaders and organizers. Like there wasn't actually a crowd of real people who were interested in what he had to say. I saw like 4 other bullhorns in that photo.
There are more people currently listening to this in the world than there are people who know who George Conway is.
That's funny.
Aw,
And yet,
poor George.
I don't feel bad for him, dude. Get your life together. You got kids, dude. Like, get your life together. Apologize to your wife. Put on a suit and go do what you do. You're a corporate lawyer, dude. That's why your chants suck. It's not your job. You're not an organizer. Go help an M&A transaction. That's what you do. Go home, dude. Apologize to your wife.
So there's a whole bunch of darker components to this thing. And we have talked and laughed a lot about how anytime you get a lib gathering where somebody's like, oh, it's just immigration. And they're like, yeah, no immigration. We let them all in and no ICE. And then somebody else is like, crime's fine. And they're like, yeah, crime. And then someone else is like, yeah, and we should have no oil. And everybody's like, yeah, all right. I guess that's fine. And then someone's like, no Jews. Yeah. And you're like, oh, but I guess they're part of the coalition.
Right. Assassinate our political opponents.
This is the perfect depiction.
Exactly.
This picture is the perfect depiction of what we talk about on the Ruthless Friday program, Graphic 2. On the left hand, it said, this isn't about politics. It's about humanity. The sign right next to it is Free Luigi.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, it's about humanity. Oh, okay. Unless you murder a young father.
Yeah.
In which case, humanity, indeed.
Can we put that back up again? Because I noticed something about the Free Luigi sign that's a little bit disturbing. Multicolor. It looks like it belongs on a bulletin board in an elementary school.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
an alarming number of these lunatics are teachers.
It's incredible, dude. Yep. This guy murdered a father of 2 sons in cold blood.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really well said because it segues pretty well into the next thing that we wanted to talk about in clip 3A.
Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
Right.
What an Ozempic blast, by the way.
Right. Yeah. We got a lot going on there. And we're going to have to play it for you again.
Hey! You ever heard
And
of Ozempic?
for the folks who are audio only, there's a very large obese woman who's gesturing at a gun shooting in the neck. And I guess the car that was driving past them that she's gesturing this at had a pro-Charlie sign on it. And so that was this person's reaction. Now the question is, who was this person?
Yeah, so this was highlighted by Libs of TikTok, and allegedly, and we haven't been able to independently completely verify it. I think we've gotten maybe halfway home, but we're just going to say allegedly at this point. It was a Chicago public school teacher that made this grotesque gesture. Now, just imagine you're at this peace-loving, democracy-saving, no kings rally, and somebody comes by with a different political opinion of you than you, who happens to support somebody who was assassinated a month ago, and your initial reaction is to try to mock the method of assassination, like shot in the neck, and gesturing shot in the neck to the people who were driving by. That's not that. There's nothing peace-loving, fun-loving, democracy.
An individual like that shouldn't be around kids.
They should not. And I will say that, like, I don't know if this person is that. I imagine the internet will find out, and we'll report back to you when we do find out. But if that is a Chicago public school teacher, that person should be out of there immediately.
But this individual was not the only violent one. Every single one of these protests had people holding signs that said Republicans are Nazis. You know, like everything that we were told you can't say over the past, however many months. Yeah. And yet they continue to push this sort of violent rhetoric, and it makes you wonder, how does the mainstream media cover this sort of event? Do they talk about the lady who was making fun of Charlie Kirk's assassination? Do they talk about the people with signs saying Republicans are Nazis? Well, I checked to see what NPR wrote about it.
Okay, yeah.
And so what's interesting, NPR had an article titled NPR's 3 Takeaways from the Rally.
I can't
Oh,
wait.
3. There's 3 big ones. Well, that's why you tune into NPR. It's all those big brains. Amazing they'd be able to retain all of that without the public funding.
Yeah, we got to make sure we fund this.
That's exactly right. And takeaway number 3, fellas, I'd like to read that to you. Peaceful protesting with song and dance. Despite the many criticisms that anti-Trump protesters came to preach, there were displays of optimism, hope, and whimsy in several cities. Whimsy. That's what we saw from that lady, I guess. That's
guys, you know what?
Whimsy.
We did overlook Whimsy.
Whimsy.
The Whimsy.
Like it's a production of Wicked on Broadway.
No, that's where they're trying to make Anne Frank trans.
Oh,
on
yeah, I
Broadway.
saw that.
That's where they're
Ridiculous.
doing that. I saw that review, by the way. But this is whimsy, just whimsy. Bunch of whimsy stuff going on.
Thanks, NPR.
It's incredible. But I mean, look, you look at all of the newspapers, and I did how they covered this, whatever. It was all about like in protest of Trump, and it was very like what the framing of an organizer would want you to do to cover it. Like if you spent a second doing it, and I saw a comedian, by the way, his thing is like to go in and just ironically go up to people and be like, just act like the biggest lib of all time and say like, yeah, we should shoot whoever. And they were like agreeing and being like,
Was it that no cap on guy?
it might be.
That dude is awesome.
It's very
he does
funny.
Hilarious work.
It's very funny, right? Except like he like does more journalism
Yeah.
in ferreting out what it is that is the sentiment of this rally than all of the publications across the country combined. You would say it's whimsy. Nothing whimsy about joking about assassinations.
Right.
There were people talking about how they wished the Butler bullet was a
Yeah,
couple
there were lots of signs you saw. Like lots of people were saying like I'm with Comey 8647, and there were people who were wearing shirts depicting the assassination of Donald Trump at these events.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's what's happening here. Also, again, back to the like initial framework of what we were talking about. These are people who used a perfect October day not to watch football, not to hang out with their family outside, not to enjoy the beautiful weather, go to a pumpkin patch or pick an apple or watch their kids' game, to go cry about Donald Trump in the middle of like nothing in particular other than the fact that their party that they claim to represent is shut down the government.
Yep.
It's the same week there was a frickin' international peace deal, the likes of which we haven't seen in 3,000 fucking years. Like, that's just how out of touch these people are. And, like, I get a little worked up about it because it is okay. I'm fine with the protest thing. Go do whatever it is that you want. But don't pretend as though you're making a sane argument. And that's fine if the leadership of the Democratic Party would take it for what it is. Like, hey, we disagree with they disagree with the policies, but, here's what's responsible for us to do in terms of making sure that, like, I don't know, frontline troops get paid or anything to do with the federal government is actually just like the lights on at the Capitol. But they don't. They're subservient to it. They're downstream of all of this. So the same people who are sitting there doing this, shooting a fake finger gun into their neck at people from who are riding in a Charlie Kirk car, are the people who are controlling the agenda that Chuck Schumer is setting. That is a fact. It just is. And, like, I'm not being hyperbolic. Am I?
No.
I mean, that's what's happening here.
No, that's exactly what's happening. I mean, we saw it all weekend long, and we saw how Democrats have responded not only to the shutdown, but they were at these rallies. We saw what's-his-face from New Jersey in our clip earlier, and I know that we have a little bit more to talk about.
We do.
In terms of how they're using it to their benefit coming up.
So when we come back, we're going to get to how it's not an organic movement and who's funding this thing, where it's coming from. We've got the answers right after this.
America's demand for energy is rising rapidly, and at a time when American families can least afford an energy shortage. But for decades, critical energy projects have been blocked, limiting our access to reliable, affordable American energy and putting America's energy dominance at risk. The solution is obvious. Overhaul the broken energy permitting process. Make it faster and simpler. Innovation, a strong workforce, abundant oil and gas. We have it all right here in the USA. Let's put America first and political agendas last. We can power our own country, create thousands of good-paying American jobs, and unleash American energy to be bigger and better than ever before. Because when America builds, America wins. Read API's plan to secure America's future at permittingreformnow.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
Alzheimer's doesn't start when the memory fades. It can begin decades earlier, quietly in the brain. Science is advancing to better fight this disease. New tools can help doctors detect Alzheimer's early, when we have the best chance to slow it down. Early detection means more time, more birthdays, more anniversaries, more moments that matter. Let's act sooner, not later. Learn more at pfcdalz.org. Paid for by the Partnership to Fight Chronic Disease.
Okay, so we did a little research into this, and our good friends over at Fox News did a fair amount more research into it. And they wrote an article, Soros Foundation's helping to fund anti-Trump No Kings protests nationwide. Surprise.
Oh, so surprising.
Surprise.
I thought this was Grassroots. It's from the bottom up.
Like, this is what democracy looks like. A grant from the Tides Foundation via the Soros Open World Foundation.
This is what. So anyway, according to FoxNews.com, George Soros' foundations are funding the No Kings protests that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and tens of thousands of protesters will be participating. They did participate on Saturday. Soros, a billionaire investor and notorious open Democrat Party donor, is the founder of the Open Society Foundations. In 2023, the foundation, through the Open Society Action Fund, issued a 2-year grant of $3 million to the Indivisible organization.
And what I'd like to point out here is that I'm assuming that they mentioned 2023 because that's when the most recent 990 is available. I cannot wait to see what the 2024.
You're exactly right, and you don't want to get in the details of this, but you have to file it. It's like a 2-year lag on the 990s for nonprofits. You don't understand and can't see what they're doing until 2 years later. It's going to be much worse. Anyway. There were they gave the grant, by the way, to support the grantees' social welfare activities, according to the Open Societies Foundation. Social welfare is what that is. So apparently that's George Conway making a fucking ass clown out of himself. That seems social welfare-y. Indivisible is managing data and communications with participants for this particular No Kings protest. They'll be taking place. It did take place across the country. Per the Open Society Foundation's website, Soros has, quote, given away more than $32 billion of his fortune to the foundations. His son Alex serves as chairman of the board. This is the guy who collects Democratic politicians like playing cards and takes pictures of them all in the beautiful backdrop of what appears to be it's either an office or some kind of a condo.
No, that's his penthouse that he has in downtown New York. It's where he parades them, where he's like, look, Dad gave me so much money and all these Democrats want it, and I bring them. It's like a humiliation ritual, right? Mm-hmm. And he'll like post a photo, and he's got Huma, who is married to Wiener, who they're engaged.
I keep forgetting that he did that. Yeah.
So he's, I mean, like, this is such a weird crew.
When I think of No Kings in America, I think of the Soros family.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is like, this is all left-wing dark money. And the cycle, it's like a closed circle of where he shows up, has Schumer show up to his penthouse. He takes a photo, he posts it online of like, look, I can make Schumer come here and have to pose with me for a photo. Then his daddy's foundation sends the money to this No Kings foundation, and then Schumer puts a video up of being like, here I am at the No Kings protest. This is totally grassroots and normal, everybody.
I just have to read this as an aside before we get into the meat of this, that the according to the organization's website, Ezra Levin is the executive co-director behind the group. Leah Greenberg, Levin's wife, serves as the other executive co-director.
Family business.
It is a family business, for one. Also, it's interesting that there's so much anti-Israel coming out of that. These are the same outfits that were funding all of the pro-Palestinian, like Gays for Gaza and all that
shutting
kind
down
of stuff.
college campuses, shutting down highways so people can't get to work, blocking ambulances.
Interesting, right? I mean, just an incredible coincidence that they've got that going on. But anyway, now they're involved here, and Indivisible received a $350,000 grant from the Tides Advocacy a group affiliated with the Tides Network. That, I mean, this is just
It's just passing
an
paper.
ugly mess. The Tides Foundation, a foundation affiliated with the Tides Network, has been accused of funding anti-Israel campus riots. And that's kind of where I was going on that. But that's, I mean, look.
You know what caught my attention, buddy? This line, in total, the Open Society Foundation have awarded $7.61 million in grants to the group behind No Kings.
I mean, that.
There's
Look, it's a big donation.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
And remember, this is like a grassroots protest. Like at most, what you're doing is, from an organizational standpoint, getting permits and doing the requisite work that would take to gather people legally in public spaces, which is not nothing, but it's not $7.61 million. It's a whole bunch of promotion.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of paying people to show
Yep,
up.
walk around money.
Yep, a little street money. Make sure you get your people out there. Maybe just a couple of sacks of cash to make sure that you come out and support the cause.
It's so pathetic. I mean, that's the thing, is it actually is pretty sad. Because, you know, I was seeing these photos that people would post on X of like these, you know, you'd see people showing up in the Denver protest that had the T-shirt, which was displaying what would have happened if Donald Trump hadn't turned his head. They were hoping that had happened, right? Yeah. And the girl next to her had an 8647 shirt on. Like, these foundations, what they've done in trying to build this kind of like a movement up is they're making people deranged. They're making people dangerous.
Well,
they're creating a dangerous environment for all of us in America.
But don't you think, Smug, they're also taking advantage of real mental health problems in the first place?
Totally.
Right?
I mean, they have got these people. I mean, we've been talking for a while about how, I mean, we saw the election results. The left has essentially lost touch with Americans. MSNBC, CNN, they've got an audience of 5,000 people that they talk to all day long. And those people are completely siloed away from what the real world is like. It's why they lost the popular vote. It's why they lost the electoral vote. They have this group that they're essentially just radicalizing. They have them sit in a stew of insanity, that they show up to these protests and then they listen to their MSNBC. And they're like, gee, I'm worried that Donald Trump is going to become a king. And then if they were actually to talk to one of their neighbors, they're like, I just went to my kid's soccer game. You know, egg prices are down 90%. Like, egg prices are down 90% since the start of the year. Like, normal people aren't doing this stuff. And these foundations, this left-wing dark money, is enabling it. It's splitting up families. It's making people deranged. It's making people dangerous.
All of that is insane. But again, you might ask yourself, why did they choose a weekend in late October to push all of these people out and about? What was it about the states of Virginia, in New Jersey,
really good question,
that all of these left-wing organizations wanted to do? Josh, I don't know if you have an idea on this.
Well, I think you flagged this initially, and
this is a good point.
You know, it is a part of running campaigns, and particularly when you're running campaigns that are oppositional in nature, against a president, against a party that's in power. Your whole goal is to try to harness as much anxiety as you possibly can. Big part of that is making sure that people vote, because everybody is sort of used to the 4-year cycle where you vote for president. We have a pretty good turnout rate as a country when it comes to presidential election voting, particularly in recent years. Midterms are a step back. Off-year elections, terrible. It's really terrible. And so the whole goal for an oppositional party is to make sure that you over-index on that. How better to do that? Gathering everybody in one place. And this was your observation.
Yeah, and in the state of New Jersey, early vote doesn't start until later this week. However, mail-in vote is already happening. And Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican candidate for governor, has run a great race. His opponent, the Democrat, Mikey Sherrill, has run a terrible race. She's lying about him toward the end. And that has led to a much closer race than Democrats ever could have envisioned in the state of New Jersey, where they have an 850,000 vote registration advantage. So you have a close race. You have Democrats trying to get out the vote in the state of New Jersey, the same strongholds in the state of Virginia, where you have Northern Virginia, which is overly represented by federal employees who are now not working because Democrats have shut them out of work and blamed Trump for the situation. And so you have people walking around these No Kings crowds among federal employees in Northern Virginia all weekend long saying you need to go and you need to early vote for Abigail Spanberger, the lib who's running for governor, or Jay Jones, the guy who texted about shooting some Republican and his kids. Like, they know that they're down, especially in that AG race. We had Miaris on our own show. They know that they're fighting from behind in that race. So they pull out all the stops to make sure that they can get as much activity a couple weeks out from the election as they can get. And there was a result. So I think Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was going to say you can put that graphic up, and then we can talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah. So this is reporting from Prince William County. This is just outside of the D.C. metro area, right on the sort of an exurb, and it is not principally a left-leaning county. It's like 60-40 probably, right, Michael?
Something like that.
Yeah, so they had on Sunday, the day after the No Kings rally, they had 4,300 people who turned out and cast a ballot on that Sunday in Prince William County. This is Herndon. These are areas where a lot of federal employees live, people who are upset with the government, people who are probably Democrats who may not have been as agitated and may be like activated to cast that vote for a lunatic like Jay Jones when they otherwise wouldn't have been. I want to report to you first here on the Variety program a number from Fairfax County, which is notoriously liberal. Okay, in 2021, on this date, Monday, when we're recording this, they had 21,000 early votes cast. Okay, in 2024, this is a presidential election. This year, in 2025, 71,000 early votes cast in Fairfax County. So the reason why they held the No Kings rally at the time they did, and I would argue the reason why Democrats in the Senate kept the shutdown going as long as they did, was because they wanted to use the anger of the feds to turn them out to vote in Fairfax County in that Virginia election.
It makes a lot of sense. And look, I mean, you're stringing things together here at this point, but
I think that's compelling. That is 100% what's happening.
It's extremely compelling. I will say, like, from a Republican standpoint, you look at that and you'd say, like, you know, why does a Senate minority leader give a shit about the AG race in Virginia? What you have to understand is Republicans live in a dynamic atmosphere where we understand a whole bunch of inputs day to day. Guys like Chuck Schumer still operate with a 2005 mentality. If you want to know every word that comes out of his mouth, you go back in time to 2005, and whatever that environment looked like, that's what he says and that's what he does, right? And in 2005, the whole political environment was about, let's show. Democrats took devastating loss. There's 55 Republican Senate seats. President Bush was reelected, straight up. You had incredible amounts of Republican gains in the House, like what was seen to be generationally impossible to overcome majorities. And what they said is it all comes back to Virginia and New Jersey in these next year's elections. And so we're going to use that as sort of a catapult to try to convince the mainstream media and everything else that it is a harbinger of things to come, knowing that they have the base of government voters in Northern Virginia that they can work off of, that if they can turn them all out, you can overwhelm a population that has a sentiment that doesn't agree with what it is that they're trying to do in the rest of the state. Doesn't work in presidential elections. Off-year elections, you go from like a 80, 75 to 80% in a presidential down to like a 57, 55, maybe even worse.
Right. Turnout
ratio. And so they see this as the whole catalog that they go back to the media and the American people being like, these guys have run out of runway with the American people, and we're now the new voice. And the media has always used that as a springboard to talk about midterm elections, where they've said, well, I don't know. Look at New Jersey. Look at Virginia. Now, it didn't work for him in 2009 because Obama came in and destroyed everything, and all of a sudden you had Chris Christie and Bob McDonnell, and it went the other way. But again, that was kind of a harbinger at that stage. But this is what his mentality is. So it is not at all out of the realm of possibilities that they shut this government down, not just because Chuck Schumer had an AOC problem and a leadership problem, but that they saw this in punishing people of Northern Virginia, making sure they don't have paychecks in order to advance their electoral prospects.
Yeah, because if you look at the downstate, the rural parts of Virginia, in terms of their early vote, the early vote for rural Virginia is actually up at this point. It's up, before the No Kings weekend. It was up much higher than Northern Virginia. So it was Mayday territory. You combine that with the J. Jones lunacy, and Democrats, they'll never admit it publicly, they're worried about
it. Slid sideways.
It slid sideways. It really did. And so they are like, we have to hold this rally, we have to have a huge presence, and we have to have maximum impact in Northern Virginia, where the most people are going to vote for Democrats so that we have a shot to win this race. And, it might work.
Well, that's our question. That's our question of the day: is will the Dems' No Kings shutdown strategy work? There's a lot. There's a lot to suggest it might. You read those numbers; those are alarming if you're a Republican. And the problem that we've had on the Republican side in off-year and midterm elections in the Trump era is that we don't get the kind of turnout that is the base of the Republican Party. To show up in presidential elections, they haven't shown up, frankly, at any time. 2018, 2022, now here we are in 2025. This is the chance to overcome that. And if you're listening to this and you're in Virginia or New Jersey, like, dude, put it on. Grab your neighbor. Like, go out and vote, because honestly, they are in droves. And they're going to sing that narrative, and you're going to hear it in your ear. And you'll have another opportunity in 26 to try to reverse that. But you're going to, for the next 12 months, hear about how every one of your ideas is all of a sudden unpopular.
Yeah, they have the momentum.
And has a contagion effect, because you know what? Middle of the road voters, they just like a winner. They like momentum. They operate on mutual consensus. And if mutual consensus in the media and amongst their wine mom friends and everybody else is that, like, well, everybody's done with this Trump administration and Republicans, like, it becomes problematic. It really does. So you got to pay attention. So that's our question of the day. When we come back, we're going to get to your comments from the last question of the day. Is what will happen to Fetterman? Guy had the audacity to speak a little bit of truth as a Democrat, and boy, oh boy, they didn't care for that. What will happen to him? Your comments right after this.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Okay, when you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, we ask you a question of the day. You leave your answers, and we read every single one of them. We summarize them and get back to you the very next episode. To do that, we always start with a voice.
Okay, first comment comes from HCG. HCG writes, Fetterman absolutely gets primaried because the current Democratic Party is indistinguishable from North Korea, where anyone who steps out of line gets an anti-aircraft cannon to the face.
My God.
Where the challenge probably comes from the left. Don't rule out Josh Shapiro once he realizes the jihadi caucus will never let him on the ticket in 28.
That's good.
While Shapiro bills himself as a, quote, moderate, his record shows that he is a party apparatchik who will bring Fetterman's 96% compliance up to the full 100% that the Dems demand and expect.
Dude, that's good. Good
Great
stuff.
analysis.
What was the guy? I read, this is amazing Democratic politics. Remember the guy Connor Lamb?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he ran in a suburban district of Pittsburgh and won as a moderate Democrat, like a legit. That's how he ran as a congressman. And then he decided he was running for Senate and recruited by Schumer, and everybody's like, no, this guy can win Pennsylvania. This is great. And then they didn't want Fetterman to run because he was like a left-wing psychopath at the time. Fetterman lays waste to him as an invalid. Like, remember, he had a stroke. He couldn't speak, and he still just absolutely crushed Connor Lamb. Well, Connor Lamb in the last 3 months has showed up and been like, how dare Fetterman? And he's like way to the left of him all of a sudden. And like, I think they're recruiting him.
Dude, that's the thing is Democrats always take the lesson from any action, whether they win or lose. We haven't gone far left enough.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's true.
He's like the Beto O'Rourke of Pennsylvania now.
Totally. He's like, I don't care what I have to say as long as I can get my
Anything.
name on that ballot, baby. What a psycho. All right, comment 2, Dunks or Runks.
This is from Eric Peterson. Eric writes, put me down for Devil Wife.
Let's
Devil
go.
Wife. I forgot Smug said that the episode. Separates from Fetterman and then primaries him.
Oh, that's a twist.
Wins the primary, loses the election, and goes back to Fetterman as if nothing happened.
Dude, this is a great storyline.
John takes her back because she stayed with him after his stroke. John then runs for state office and wins easily.
Dude, this is gonna be the next 12 months.
That's deep lore. That's deep lore.
That is deep lore. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Smug, what do we got?
Comment 3 is from Ron Swanson's alter ego. They write, Fetterman will be harder for the Dems of PA to kill than Frankenstein's monster. It will take more than pitchforks and fire. He's pretty popular in PA along with Governor Shapiro, whom I believe will have a say in any Dem primary of the sitting senator. If they primary him, he will win the primary and break the party in Pennsylvania in the process. So please, please, please primary him. I love that chaos theory.
Good. That's
Pure
chaos.
chaos.
That is. That's good. It's a good theory. It's one that would be a happy ending, which we've been involved in politics long enough to know that that's unlikely.
Yeah.
But I love the idea. It's fantastic. Listen, we got some variety after this, fellas. Brazen daytime robbery going on at one of the world's most, I would say, sought-after museums. We're going to get to that, along with some combat sports.
Love the combat
that.
sports.
Right after this. Okay, fellas. So a real brazen robbery. It's kind of like almost like an Ocean's 11 type situation that they've got going on here. Fox News reports the brazen Louvre thieves made a targeted heist. Treasures could be melted down, according to an expert. So what happened was a gang of thieves robbed the Louvre Museum on Sunday. And they made off with some of France's most famous crown jewels that might end up in a melting of their loot. That's according to an FBI expert. And first of all, how is this possible in this day and age? You have thieves going into the Louvre and stealing something?
Yeah, it's pathetic. So I followed this because it did seem like a movie, like breaking into a museum and stealing. Because these weren't like small pieces. This was serious stuff. Like I saw Kilmeade on Fox and Friends doing the breakdown. It was like this necklace had like 1,000 diamonds and 300 emeralds on it, and then this necklace had like 1,900 diamonds on it. And
they're a necklace that is in the Louvre.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this isn't on somebody's neck.
And then they had the like time frame. So like the museum opened at 9 a.m. and that's right when the thieves, I guess they used like a people move. What were those things called? Like not a crane, but like they used it to levitate up to the second floor. They hopped over.
Like one of those scissor elevator sort of things?
Yeah. And so they hop over into it. This is right when the museum's opened.
And they're dressed as construction workers, I understand.
Yeah. And they just used saws and they cut open the cases. They took the jewels and they were on scooters and left all within 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
Scooters are one of the worst things for society.
So, I mean, this is well planned.
Yeah, I mean, clearly. So the thing is, for so long, the reason would be like, the reason this museum, in Paris or in London keeps these is because they'd be safe. Like you saw, like in Afghanistan, they had those massive Buddha statues that the Taliban detonated, And, whenever there's wars in like third world countries, someone will loot the museum, whatever, like it happened in Iraq. But what's the case now? Like, France should feel ashamed that this happened. Like,
you can get away with something like
this
that.
This is ridiculous. Just 4 dudes in construction outfits. Like, they go to a Halloween city, and now they've made off with like they don't even put a dollar amount.
No, it's
on
priceless.
This.
But let's be honest, man. The French can't defend anything. I mean, look what's happened to their country. Look what happened. I mean, we don't need to go all the way back to World War I when they had the Maginot Line that the Germans just rolled over like it was nothing. The French can't defend a single thing. And these are these are Europe's grandest treasures.
All the jewels in the Louvre should be brought to America.
For safety.
Trump should have them all put in
Demand
his
at the world.
presidential library.
Demand at the world.
He knows how to keep things under control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bring them here. You had your chance, France. Now you're another one of these third world countries that someone might loot your museum at any moment. Yeah. It's pathetic.
That's exactly right.
This is what you get.
Melting him down is a different thing, though, right?
Well, Kill Me again. Kilme's always on top of this stuff, man. He's got the facts.
Yeah.
He was like
hardest working man in showbiz.
Because you can't roll up to be like, listen, how much can I get for Napoleon's, crown here? Because everyone's gonna be like, I'm not, you can't move that, you can't touch that. But what they do is they would pull all the diamonds out, melt down the gold, because you can. And then they're like, you can take it to a black market. They'll like recut the diamonds so that they can flip them, and then the gold is it's melted gold, right? Because the thing is that is what makes it extra tragic. Is because like this could be some like jewelry that was in the wedding of a king, and now it's gonna end up as just like in Antwerp being sold as loose diamonds.
I mean,
pathetic. France should be ashamed. It's pathetic.
I've thought about it because the melting thing bothered me. I mean, you're destroying.
It's sad. Yeah, they're destroying it.
Stuff, and I've thought about it, and you're right that it is tough to move on an open market. Being like, yeah, this was in the Louvre, and I stole it.
France should just be like, no questions asked. 100 million euros if you bring them. That's it. No questions asked. If they want them back, because that country is clearly out of control. Mm-hmm. They don't know what they're doing. They can't keep their citizens safe. You look at the streets of Paris, it's a nightmare every day. But, there's no shame in it because those are going to be melted down. They're going to be gone. You think the French police are going to catch them?
No, I got an idea.
Chance.
I got an idea
on
a buyer. I think the Tides Foundation is something worth.
There we go.
They seem like they've got a bottomless
They're
pit
like,
of
no
cash.
kings, we will buy the crowns of previous kings to prove a point.
Exactly. It seems to me it's a limitless pot.
That's hilarious.
And like this would be something that would go well with his collection of playing cards of Democratic
Alex Soros could wear it on his wedding.
And you know, it's in some ways it's the spoils of their larger efforts.
Could work. Mm-hmm. You never know. In sports, last week we brought to you that hockey fight situation, which
awesome.
It prompted a terrible take from Smug, but it did get us into this larger discussion about sports that are not a part of your day-to-day sports consumption that probably should be.
Think of it like ESPN, the Ocho combat sports.
Yeah. Instead, we get like, an eighth-rate college basketball, women's basketball game or whatever. You know what comes on when you flip. Like you watch ESPN Countdown or whatever, and then all of a sudden it flips over and you get some horrible action. What if you got this? Clip 4.
Okay, so this is like a monkey bar fight. A monkey bar fight. Ooh.
Guys are kicking each other, holding on to the monkey bars.
Dude, look at that! Oh, bro.
It's just so aggressive.
Looks like it might be best 2 out of 3.
Oh.
Are you like...
Watch this. Oh.
See, that's tactical. That's tactical.
No, takes a heel right to the nose.
You really got to watch this on YouTube.
Yeah, so if you're an audio-only listener, what we were just listening to was a Japanese game show that features monkey bar kicking fights.
Yep.
And what they do is they have a square.
Yeah, it's
where
a
you put
giant
4
square
guys
with 4
on it.
people hanging on there. Like
They
it's monkey
raise
bars.
them. They raise them above. It looks like at least 15 feet. It looks like a fall. And they're holding onto the monkey bar, and the whole point is to use your feet to try to kick these people off. this thing gets super aggressive.
And it's amazing to watch because like these people are kicking each other like in the face, but if you watch, the most effective thing is to like kick someone in the wrist so they have to let go.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that is insane.
Oh, he just
Did you
right
see him?
stomped
He's just
his
like on
face.
top of him, stomping the
Yeah.
This is a tremendous sport. Tremendous sport. Because there's so much, I mean, there's like that mental aspect of I'm going to try to go for like a wrist kick instead of a face kick. But it's just, it's a legit combat sport because it's like you cannot block from getting kicked in the face. You can try to like move out of the way, but like.
Nothing you can do. You got to take it to the face. You got to figure out how to take it to the face.
Wonderful sport. Highly endorsed.
I think the old man would be very good at this.
I don't know, man. I mean, that is a violent
It's a violent sport.
And it requires full body strength, core strength, leg strength, arm strength, and plus an ability to take a few shots in the face from a heel. I mean,
Those are legit kicks. I'm surprised we didn't see any bleeding, like broken noses.
I'm sure you got that in the bottom. We didn't see the bottom when they fell. I bet there was bleeding.
I want to see the blood. Like this is legit fighting.
It's a real test of athleticism.
Because there's no blocking. It's so serious.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be something worth taking a second look
People
at.
will die, but it's
We
entertaining.
tried to find out if there was some kind of a league. Unlike the hockey league, which, by the way, tweeted us
Yeah,
and
good
appreciated
folks.
the
Great
shout
folks.
out.
Great sport.
The hockey fight. Yeah, did tune into that situation because they were great.
Going to be good.
We couldn't find these people. I don't know if it's gone underground.
I think it's a more underground thing, like the sort of place you melt down, the jewels of Napoleon.
While you're waiting for your crown to get melted down, you can watch a monkey bar fight.
Yeah.
So I got to hang out in places like that.
So head on over to the Tides Foundation and you will find monkey bar kick fighting.
Find your closest opium den, and they have monkey bar fighting, and they melt down gold.
Incredible. All right, so listen, an awful lot of you have been wanting to have a larger discussion with DHS and about what's going on with immigration enforcement and ICE. Obviously, we know about the violence. We've covered it a lot here on the program. There's also a whole bunch of other questions that deal with, where are the priority, like how are they doing this, right? Because you get nothing but mainstream media is like, oh, they're just picking people off the streets and deporting them and whatever. And you get the Kilmore Abrego Garcia example and everything else that just like fundamentally pollutes what the good people of ICE and what Homeland Security are doing. So we asked DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin, to come in, put a finer point on all of this. I want to welcome to the program somebody you've probably seen a lot of these days because she is a spokesperson for all things, but she's the DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I mean, this is exciting. I've seen a lot of you on Fox and on other networks talking about all of the various things that you guys are into. Obviously, ICE, a key component to all of that, and stokes feelings on the left. This is something that the Ruthless Variety Program has long thought was absolutely necessary for so many reasons. Give me a little overview of where you think things sit. Where are we in terms of the overall mission of ICE, and then we'll get into Homeland and everything else.
Yeah, of course. And Homeland Security is such a huge, gigantic organization.
Yeah.
280,000 employees, which is crazy. Anything from TSA to Secret Service and then CBP and ICE, which of course get a lot of attention, as they should. It's such a critical part of the president's mission and a huge part of the reason that he was really elected president. We have a tall hill to climb, but I think that it's been pretty exceptional what the men and women of ICE and law enforcement have been able to do, closing the border first and foremost, but now we're able to take those CBP agents, many of whom were on the ground and processing people into the country under the Biden administration, and now they're out in the interior of our country. We're about almost 500,000 arrests at this point between CBP and ICE. And then we've have about 1.6 million self-deportations, which is what we're really aiming for, because it's
the only way to actually do it.
To get the masses of numbers. It's a lot less expensive. It's about 70% less if you self-deport than if we have to forcibly remove you. And as well, it's a lot safer for law enforcement. It's a lot safer for the communities. And it's a lot safer for the migrants themselves.
Yeah, no question about it. So... Look, we heard you talking a lot after the Dallas situation and the unfortunate attack there. Not an isolated incident, which is the sad part. We look at what's happening in Portland. Can you give us a little context of you know what you see on cable news and everything else, but like what's happening in Portland?
Yeah, what's happening in Portland is we're seeing it's increasingly organized. We're seeing quite a bit of violence, but because President Trump and Secretary Noem have surged resources, that has stymied just a little bit, and we want to keep on seeing that slowdown. We are seeing Antifa-aligned individuals, and President Trump has really tasked the entire administration from Secretary Bessent to Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Secretary Noem. We're going to follow the money. We're going to see where is this funding coming from, because we know some of it is domestic and some of it is also foreign money that's coming in to really stoke violence and chaos.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I find most interesting is it's a hard job, given all of the policies, the open border under Biden, and all of the illegal immigrants who came in the country, and incredible job y'all have done so far. I got to imagine it's made more difficult by the fact that like you have to go on cable news and argue with all of these people who want to see you not succeed. Do you enjoy that? I enjoy watching it.
I relish the fight a little bit, but I think it's all because we know what we're fighting for, which is law and order. The men and women of ICE constantly, you said it yourself, demonized by the media, dehumanized by the media, called Nazis, likened to the Gestapo. And so the fact of the matter is these men and women are enforcing the rule of law, the law on the books of Congress. So these men and women are putting themselves at risk every single day. They're facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. I'm happy any day of the week to go on cable news and fight the fight for these guys.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the stats, and you guys have made such great progress on making arrests and the self-deportations, but Democrats have shut the government down. I'm wondering if that has had an impact on your ability to deport the most dangerous people who are here right now.
I think at this moment it hasn't slowed us down, but as things, continue, as we're not seeing much of an end in sight to this shutdown, I think resources are going to start to get strained. So it was about 2 weeks ago that Secretary Noem, they reallocated money so that our law enforcement was being paid during the shutdown. Because at first, ICE and CBP and Secret Service and across the board were out there, arresting these criminal illegal aliens off of our streets, and they weren't being paid for it as well. While they're being told by the likes of J.B. Pritzker that they're going to be prosecuted for enforcing the rule of law. It makes no sense. It's crazy.
It makes no sense. There's also just a ton of misconception about what's going on out here, right? I mean, I think the administration, you guys did an incredible job at the onset of all of the operations at the beginning of the administration to show that we're getting criminals out of here. And people with deportation orders, we're getting them out of here. And then I think that the left, at some point, just because of the pure media saturation, if nothing else, had gotten into a point where they were basically accusing you guys of, like, just random traffic stops, like throwing people out of the country. Help prioritize that for our listener and how you all are dealing. How is DHS and ICE and everything else dealing with all of it? Still a priority, obviously, to get criminal aliens out of the country, as it always will be. But the identification process, how you go about doing it.
That is a huge misconception, and I think intentionally so. Much like how the media says we're arresting immigrants, and they don't clarify that it's illegal aliens.
The Maryland man.
Of course, the Maryland. Actually, I think that's a perfect example is the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, where that was kind of the tipping point. I think that the media was really trying to convince people that this guy was just indiscriminately picked up. He had no criminal record. This innocent Maryland father, and in reality, he was sent to CCOP because he's a human trafficker. In MS-13 gang member. The fact that they tried to whitewash that, you had Senator Van Hollen flying on U.S. taxpayer dime down to El Salvador to share a meal with this guy.
In a marg.
That to us really was the tipping point. And we've tried, and we will continue to bang our heads against the wall in communicating the fact that 70% of those illegal aliens who have been arrested under this administration have either prior criminal convictions or pending criminal charges against them. But that doesn't even include people who are wanted for murder in their country of origin. That doesn't include people who have Interpol notices, human rights abusers, known or suspected terrorists. They might not have a rap sheet in the United States, you don't want these people in your country.
Totally.
Right.
So help me understand that, because I think that's
Yeah.
a really important point, is because you now have done due diligence on people who have deportation
Yeah.
orders, who may have previous criminal histories. That's sort of tough to piece together. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's international legal
Completely.
components, but is that still sort of the top priority of what you all are working on?
100%. When we say we want the worst of the worst out of this country, it's not
That's
just
what
a
it is.
talking point. It
Yeah.
really is what it is. That's who we're going after. And these are not indiscriminate stops. We're not just walking on the sidewalk and picking up random people. We have intelligence. We have reasonable suspicion under the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. That's who we're going after. And it really is I mean, I get reports on my desk every single day saying who the worst people who were picked up the day prior. I mean, I saw on my desk today, child pedophile, murder. There was a Tren de Aragua member. Really
Yeah.
despicable human beings that it shouldn't be left or right, Republican or Democrat. You don't want these people in the interior of our country.
Totally.
And I'm so glad you're focused on that, because what we know about what we saw during the Biden years
Yeah.
was all of these sort of fighting age men who weren't even necessarily from Latin America, who were coming over from Africa, coming over from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, China, places from all over the world, who were just magically in Mexico and walked across the border. And it just seems like it's such an important thing to focus on getting some of those people out of the country.
It's 100% a focus. And I think, of course, we talk a lot about the border crisis because it was a humanitarian crisis and a national security crisis. But the other piece of this is the legal immigration system that the Biden administration completely corrupted. I mean, temporary protected status, which is, supposed to be used for very rare circumstances and for about an 18-month period of time. We have people who are using this visa program for 25 years. They've been here for a quarter of a century.
Crazy.
And there's very little vetting. We just were talking earlier off the show about how there's this guy who is a known terrorist who came in this country. We're seeing that across the board.
Can you put a finer point on that? Because I'm blown away by this story.
Yeah.
And this is just now kind of surfacing. Give us some context. This is a Hamas fighter, essentially, participated in October 7th.
Yep. So this is an individual that the Department of Justice just arrested out of Louisiana. He entered the country on a visa illegally under the Biden administration September of 2024, first to Oklahoma, and then he moved to Louisiana. This is an individual who was involved in the training of Hamas fighters, but also he was allegedly involved with the massacre of 69 individuals, including 4 U.S. citizens. This is somebody who has been living with impunity in our country as he just slaughtered innocent people in Israel and innocent Americans as well.
And he was granted permanent legal status in the United States during the Biden administration, right?
During the Biden administration.
It's insane.
Underscores horrendous vetting, considering it was online and on social media that this individual, what he did, the terrorist attacks he conducted. Go ahead.
Question. So, how do we stitch all this together? Because
I'm with you, Dunce. This is what I'm doing,
This is the
too.
most terrifying thing to me is it's a big world out there, and people are coming to the United States, and we know things that we know. In the United States, we have rap sheets of people who've been arrested and things like that. How do you piece together things like Interpol and social media and intelligence abroad so that when somebody shows up at our shores and says, hey, I want, temporary legal status here in this country, that we have a full picture of who these people are?
It's such a great and important question. And I actually think that's something we've gotten a lot of flack for is these, say, temporary protected status or shuttering some of these programs that would let people in with visas. The reason why we're doing that in so many cases is because their country of origin has horrendous vetting or has a government that's infiltrated with terrorists or people who hate the United States. So how can we count on them to do their vetting and let them into the United States? It's something we're going to have to keep on pushing back against. Secretary Noem, she's done a phenomenal job of going to South and Central America and brokering these information agreements so that we know who's on their way up to the country, right? It's not just one stop is America. They're making their way up, and so many times it is criminals. It's known or suspected terrorists. I mean, just in the interior of the United States in the last 250 days, we've arrested 700 known or suspected terrorists.
Wow.
That's wild. I mean, it's just
terrifying.
Yeah, it took 17, 18 for 9/11. I mean, that is a wild deal. The one thing that stands out to me about the way you guys are going about all of this is that you got Secretary Noem on the road, as are many of you,
Yeah.
and seeing this firsthand,
Yeah.
which is a huge departure from what we had with Mayorkas, who didn't he ever visit the border? I'm
No.
not sure if he ever.
Well, Kamala was down in South America. She was going to find the root causes of migration.
Yeah.
I recall.
Well,
Yes.
She figured it out.
She was a SAR, dude. I mean, that's the way what you do down there. But like his thing was, oh yeah, no, I'm all back. But he actually like never really. I mean, maybe went one photo op,
Yeah.
but never saw any of this stuff. And of course, at this point, it was an interior issue because they let 20 million people in.
Yeah.
They just never addressed it.
No, they never addressed it. But also, he vilified his own law enforcement. You guys remember when
Yeah.
he
Oh,
there
the
was
whole
the
whip?
whipping incident
Yeah.
with the
Oh, yeah.
horse reins, Border Patrol, and Secretary Noem went down to meet with them. I think it was her second week on the job because. This has been a broken agency under Mayorkas and under Biden for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think what we see with ICE too is that we have to unleash those men and women. They've just been sitting. Some of these people have been working from home for 4 years as they're supposed to be law enforcement agents. So it's really Secretary Noem getting on the ground, seeing what these men and women need, what resources they need, what. Hey, I'm here with you. I have your back as you're being dehumanized and demonized in the media. And also, I mean, making sure we don't have these broken agencies anymore so they can actually do the job and carry out this mandate.
Yeah, actually do what's on the books
Yeah.
already, right? So, Tricia, it's your second stint in the Trump orbit. You were there in the first term as well. You've come back in the second, obviously in a really important role. Tell me about your experiences that. I mean, it seems to us, and we've said this a lot on the show, that the first time around was a lot about, we talked about this with Eric Trump last week, just trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And of course, just unbelievable amount of media attacks, lawfare, everything else that we had with the Russiagate deal. This time around, it feels like everybody knew what the plan was, and on day one, it just start running. Are we right about that?
I think you're completely right. I think that also this administration is just so done apologizing.
Yeah.
And that's so freeing for all of us because we don't have to apologize for doing our jobs day in and day out and defending the men and women of law enforcement. I also think President Trump has a remarkable team around him from A.G.
question.
Bondi, Secretary Noem, Hegseth. I mean, everyone's been really remarkable. So total kudos to the president for putting that team together.
Yeah, it feels like the team is working well together. Everybody gets along on a personal level. Now, obviously, you have disagreements when you're dealing with huge amounts of things, but it seems like, by and large, everybody's sort of pulling the wagon in one direction.
Oh, I think absolutely. And I think the American people have also woken up to what was going on in the country for the last 4 years. I think the perfect example, of course, is the border crisis and the humanitarian crisis that Biden manufactured and created. So I think the people, they don't believe the media anymore, and that is so refreshing because as, you know, head of public affairs at DHS, every single day we're dealing with a new hoax from the media.
Yeah, totally.
So it's very refreshing. We also have X, right?
Yeah.
Elon Musk gave us that kind of power
Tricia
back.
gets to quote tweet people all day
We
and be
do
like,
quote
lie,
Dunk.
lie.
Two-hand dunk.
To be honest with you, I think that the president was very, very smart to hire somebody from Cincinnati, Ohio to do the job.
come on.
Trish is in
agree.
right now, and that's why we're so successful.
Exactly. You're so
unbelievable.
right. You know, I think Ruthless was so smart to hire someone from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Only the best of the best.
Yeah, initially it was just some sort of script writing and editing, but he's worked his way up here, I guess. Golly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is
You knew he was
unbelievable.
going to shoehorn that in.
You did.
He had to.
Yeah.
That's the right thing to do.
You have to.
Can I ask you, just because, look, we're going through this government shutdown thing, and this is different. I spent an awful lot of years on the Hill. Government shutdowns were to be avoided, but it also just felt like one side was clearly winning, one side was clearly losing. You go into this thing, I don't understand a single point of the Democrats' talking points, right? I mean, generally speaking, there's enough muddy water there where everybody's like, it's a pox on both your houses, and they're hoping that anybody who's in charge of the government ultimately takes responsibility for it. But this just feels different because they have no argument at all. What I'm asking you about is in terms of DHS, in terms of ICE, in terms of what it is that you're doing, surely this has some impact.
Yeah. I mean, this is not your grandmother's shutdown, right? This is totally different. This isn't even in the A block of what most shows are talking about, which is pretty remarkable. I think with TSA, there's hasn't been delays yet, but I think the longer that this goes on, we're probably going to see some resource constraints there. TSA is not getting paid. Our air marshals are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to have frustrated federal employees who, are working day in and day out and they're not getting paid, and you might see some slowdowns there. As far as ICE and CBP, that is being funded. So I think we're continue to be out there, arrest the worst. We're not going to be slowed down. And there is going to be an impact, and I think it's going to come to an impasse here soon.
It's wild to me, right? You've got all these you guys have a huge department.
Yeah.
Full of federal employees. I imagine it. Almost everybody's a little bit concerned about where their paycheck shows up at some point.
Oh, I know, for my team. So people certainly are.
Right?
I'm like,
you're
we'll
like, I think it's going to be okay.
Don't get the guac at Chipotle. Don't nothing extra.
Don't tone down the guac. But you look across at Chuck Schumer and the way that Democrats have approached not only the government shutdown, but everything that you guys do on a day-to-day basis. Doesn't feel like there's a lot of sanity there.
Yeah.
That's got to make people nervous.
I mean, I think the fact that Chuck Schumer, what is his talking point? What is his message? Because the fact that they passed this 13 times over, and then really it's just about giving illegal aliens free health care.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this movie before, and the American people aren't buying it. And this really does help us Dogify the government, and I think that's a great thing. We were talking about how there's 280,000 employees at DHS. There's some great Americans in there, and there's some people who do not have the country's best interests in mind, and we need to get rid of them. And these rifts are helping us do just that.
Yeah, it's
so that's the bright side of the shutdown.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, literally, there is only one silver lining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russ Vought.
Yeah,
Thank you, Russ.
Brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No question about it. All right, so final question. Look, you guys have a job to do. You're going to continue to do it.
Yep.
Priorities stay the same. We're dealing with a 20 million person plus number that came in during the Biden administration. Obviously, you're not going to be able to be 100% successful on that. But is this going to continue to stay in the same priority range in doing what you're doing? Is there anything from a public affairs standpoint? I ask because I feel like we can help on this. To emphasize just how these law enforcement agents are doing exactly what it is that they signed up for, that the law actually prescribes them to do. I mean, I feel like your ability to do the job at some point is on your job.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the media is successful in ultimately misconstruing what it is that the mission is, that's where things go sideways here.
It is PR warfare. It really is, because the American people have to know who we're actually getting out of this country and who was in this country. We talked earlier about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. How often do the media bury and continues to bury the fact that this guy is an MS-13 gang member and was trafficking human beings? The media wants to cover up for the criminality of these people, and they'll continue to do that. So, I mean, every single day we are putting out who's the worst. And I think, there's some consternation on my end. I don't want people to become numb to it.
Yeah.
But we have to keep on hounding that message over and over and over
agree.
again. And as far as the arrest numbers, right, we have, because of that big, beautiful bill, we're able to hire more law enforcement officers in ICE and CBP. And so we will have those arrest numbers go up. But I think some of the strategy really is, as those arrests really ramp up, so will those self-deportations, because you get the message. If you don't leave now, we're going to arrest you and we're going to deport you, and it's not going to be on your own timetable. It's going to be on ours.
Yep. Well done. Listen, it's nice to have a professional doing this kind of thing.
Exactly right.
A Cincinnatian.
That's exactly right.
Don't go that far.
You had to do that? I mean, he's just going to keep talking about that all day.
I am.
Listen, Tricia McLaughlin, thank you for everything you're doing. Keep up the good work. Best to everybody over there at Homeland and your entire team. And come visit us anytime you got anything you want to talk about.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate
it's great to
it.
meet you guys.
She is such a pro. Like every single thing she said was informative, and you knew that if we had more time with her, that we would have gotten even more information. So I hope we have her back soon and on a regular basis, because obviously this is a huge priority of this administration, and there's a big reason for that. The country wants it.
It's an important message, and I think she had really great stats. And she has to spend every single day fighting the media on Twitter and on cable television to try to get the truth out there. So I'm glad we were able to have her on.
Yeah, totally. Tricia McLaughlin, very good work here in the Variety Program. Welcome back anytime. Fellas, this has been a hell of an episode. It's going to be a hell of a week. Look, the government should still shut down. I mean, the clips that Democrats are providing, boy, oh boy, we're going to have a lot of fun this week. So you got to keep tuning in. Remember our question of the day, will the Dems know King's early vote strategy work? That's something you're not going to hear anywhere else other than the Variety Program. Big kudos to Ashbrook on putting the puzzle pieces together on all of that. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're at it. And with that, fellas, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thanks so much to Tricia McLaughlin from DHS. And thank you to the Minions. Remember, if you have not yet, go to the YouTube, hit that subscribe because it's more fun in video. So until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you Thursday. Stay ruthless.